Has it ever happened to you? Sometimes life brings you events that are inexplicable, cannot be explained via logic and common sense. Maybe you have also experienced it, but it was brushed off as mere coincidence. We all have stories of paranormal in passing, obscure events and unknown entities that haunt people for seemingly unknown reason, but has never been dug deep enough to be understood. If you've also been curious about that, then this video is for you. Welcome to Dread Whisper. I'm Vivek and I bring you paranormal activities and stories that make you aware of existence of things that you have never thought were possible. Where we dive into stories of paranormal phenomenon, though for privacy's sake, the names and location of the characters are changed. Before we jump into the story, I would like to thank the people who have subscribed to the channel. And if you are a new viewer, I would request you to please subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification icon so that you never miss a new video. Also, if you like the content of this channel and want to support the channel, consider joining my Patreon. There you can have access to exclusive materials including early access to the videos, raw scripts and more. So without further ado, let's begin. Sometimes life gives us surprises, some of which aren't so great. It blindsides you completely and you start questioning everything, even the place you were born and lived in. Today's story is of someone as you and I. The same hustle, the same business, but he's someone who has encountered something that left a permanent mark on him and changed him forever. Today's story is about Rajeev. Rajeev lived in a remote village among the mountains of Assam, India, a place quite far off the main cities. He wasn't into ghosts or paranormal. He was religious, yes, but not a devout follower. He ran a hardware store and was in his mid-30s, trying to keep his father's shop alive. He used to work in the city before as a painter since he was 15, though after he got married at 25, he moved back to the village with his parents and took over the hardware store. His work was all about paint cans, wires, cheap locks and nails and stuff. He wasn't formally educated, but life had taught him skills. A wife who he loved dearly helped him manage the accounts. Her name was Mita. Mita was formally educated, but only up to middle school. She knew enough math to calculate transactions and through life had developed how to balance sheets. Manoj, his father, handled the banking and moving money. Manoj was a well-seasoned business veteran and had 30 years of experience in the hardware business. Before Rajeev took over, it was Manoj who had handled the store and ran it successfully enough to sustain a household. With Rajeev handling the regular work of the store, Manoj had finally enough time to tend to Sumitra. They were getting older, and with it, physical weakness was on set. Sumitra was already prone to sickness, but now she needed extra care, and Manoj was thankful that now he will be having time. Rajeev also had a school-going daughter, Trisha, who thought Papa's shop was the most amazing place in the world. Trisha was a well-known guest cashier, and every customer that came in enjoyed her presence. She was also a star visitor in every other stores in the village square as well. A young soul in the place did wonders for their old spirits. Seems like a good life, right? But Rajeev was struggling. Business was bad, costs were up, and the accounts were drowning in credit. On paper, he had multiple incomes, but nothing was liquid enough to use. Many customers hadn't paid their dues since last month, and it was only getting worse. With the market changing, Manoj's experience was also falling short. Now, many of you would say, why not just ask the money since you're owed? But you forget there is a nuance to that. Their community is pretty tight-knit, and his customers were also small-time workers, local electricians and construction crews. Income isn't as stable as salary for them, so credit is how they kept things running. However, the major issue for Rajeev was resupply. That took liquid cash, and wholesale suppliers don't work on credit. At least the supplier in town didn't. To restock, he had to head to the town from his village, and all he had was an old motorcycle. 1 hour there, 1 hour back, 2 hours of fuel. Fuel that cost money he didn't have. The day was ending and the numbers were troubling him. Today was not the worst day that could happen, but it also wasn't that good. He had 10 customers in total. 3 of them took goods on credit. Liquid money was also running dry. So, for men like us, we do what we usually do: talk about it with our group of friends over a cup of tea. And the perfect place was the tea stall. Now, just to clarify, his store was one of the many in the village square. There were grocery stores, clothing store, the community well, and other type of businesses in that area. But by far the most visited one would be the tea stall. So that evening when the customers died down, he left his dad in charge and went for tea. There he met his friends, the store owner, the day workers, who were there for the evening tea. As they were conversing, Raju, the clothing store owner, started to talk about problems he was having with rats. "I found a batch of clothes with holes shoot off again. This is the third time. I'm getting sick of this. I would give an arm to get rid of this buggers," he said. "Yep, you could try showing him entrance to Suresh's groceries. Might make him happy enough to patch up your clothes even," the sweet guy chimed in. "Try that and you'll really lose an arm." Suresh on the side was noticeably annoyed. He was the one with the groceries after all. "I could bring you some traps," Rajeev offered. The supplier got a new type of rat traps in the market. Bragged they were foolproof. "Really? Bring me one the next time you head for the market, alright?" "Sure, but it's been tough lately. 2 hours of up and down is really hammering on the fuel budget." A truck driver who was listening on the conversation spoke up. "I know a shortcut, but it will be a rougher drive. There are no street lights there and even less people." "That's pretty good. No traffic plus a shorter route seems great to me." "Where is the shortcut?" The truck driver took a sip of tea. "It's called the Old Line, an abandoned road project of the government. Many don't know about it, but it's the quickest way out if you want to get to town. The road is rough, but it could save you around 45 minutes off your journey if you stick to it." That was substantial. A businessman by blood, he knew. Coin was a coin, be it one or a million. Rajeev didn't hesitate. The first time he took it, he ended up coming home earlier than expected. His family knew that every time he went on a supply run, Rajeev would be home late. Normally, his father and he would return at 7 p.m. right after dark, but during supply runs, it usually went up to 8:30 and sometimes even 9. His family was pleased. His father was proud of seeing his son take responsibility and had learned the ways of the world. His mother and wife were happy that he had returned early, and it was the first time since Rajeev took over that he had. However, Rajeev didn't bother telling them about the forest, but there was something that no one knew. The shortcut came with a warning. At that tea stall, there was an old man who was listening in as well. Told them, "The road is safe. Just don't be late. And if you see a bare patch of grounds where earth looks wrong, walk around it. Not through it. Around it." He assumed it was about snakes or a sinkhole. He nodded, paid for his tea, and forgot about it. One evening, everything ran late. It was a busy but good day. Clients were abundant and shop was busy. It didn't take long before he had ran out of stock. Importantly, one order was particularly large. They were building a vacation home for some big shot from the capital city. The electrician who came in to give the order mentioned that it needed to be delivered early morning. That was a problem. He had to refill, but he only had 2 hours before dark. Though, having been through the old line quite many times, he more or less had no reason to fear. So he got on his bike and took off to the supplier. By the time he had left, the sun was already setting. The main road meant traffic and trucks in the evening, so he chose the old line anyways. And so he began riding to the town on the old line. The only issue was that it was the night of the red moon. Halfway down the beaten path, his engine died suddenly. He checked his fuel gauge. He hadn't ran out of fuel. Strange. The forest had wild animals. Leopards and elephants were common, so he had to be quick. He got off and started walking, dragging the bike with him. After all, what choice did he have? He had only gone a few meters when he noticed an oddity. The sounds on the right side of the path had suddenly gone quiet. That's when he saw it. A round patch skewed on the right side of the path. At first he thought it was a burnt patch, some old fire mark, but when he looked closer, he realized it wasn't ash. There were no leaves, no roots, nothing. Just bare earth. The circle was almost perfect. The edge was too clean, like someone had pressed a huge metal stamp into the ground and lifted it away. He stopped at the border. Being skewed, there was a trickle of the road left out. One more thing I'd like to add. Rajeev later described the forest around him as sounding normal. Insects, a bird, light breeze, but there, above the circle, the air felt empty. Not quiet, just wrong. It felt like the sound around him didn't belong over that patch. He told himself he was being stupid. He was a shopkeeper, not a child scared of shapes in the dirt. Though, just to check if there were any snakes or critters hiding, he picked up a small stone and tossed it into the circle. It hit the ground, but there was no sound, like the pebble had fallen into a pit of cotton. The hair on his arms stood up. He could have gone around. The path had space. Instead, his brain said, it's just soil, nothing to be scared of. So, Rajeev listened. He stepped into the circle. The moment his foot crossed the edge, his ears popped, like he was in a pressurized cabin. The trees didn't move, the light barely changed, but the forest felt further away. Not in distance, but in reach, like he was watching it through thick glass. The most noticeable was the smell. It smelled like raw earth and burned rubber. He took another step. He was now 2 steps in. He realized something horrible. He didn't feel like he was standing inside a circle. He felt like he was standing outside something else. Like the world had taken 1 step back, leaving him on the wrong side of the door. For a split second, one thought came to him, clear and cold. If I stay here, they won't find me. Not they as in ghosts. They as in his wife, his mother, his daughter, his father, everyone. His heart was hammering, his chest was tight. He stepped back, 1 foot over the edge, then the other. The instant both feet left the circle, the sounds came back. Crickets, wind, an owl hooting in the distance. The forest suddenly felt close again. He didn't look back. To hell with the order. He ran, dragging the motorcycle with him. As he did, he kept trying to start the motorcycle with the electrical starter. After he had crossed a few meters, his bike started like normal. After he had crossed a few meters away, his bike started like normal. He didn't think much of it. Just started the bike and took off. That night at dinner, his daughter complained about her homework, and he snapped at her. He had never done that before. Never in his life. His parents looked at him with concern and doubt. His wife asked if he was okay. Rajeev said nothing. He apologized later, blaming stress. He didn't mention the circle. He didn't mention anything. For a few days, he managed to convince himself that nothing was wrong. Then slowly things started to slip. A loyal customer who had always bought from him suddenly dropped. The customer had switched to Rajeev's competitor instead. No hard feelings, the man said. He just gave me a better rate. The rate was worse. Rajeev had checked. Small accidents became frequent. Glass jars he knew he'd placed correctly fell from the shelves for seemingly no reason and shattered. Tiny electrical issues appeared only in his shop. The most noticeable change was that the water stall started to smell like raw earth and burned rubber. And more than that, it was his small outbursts of irritation. He started to snap at his family on minor things, like what happened 3 nights later. They were eating dinner, and for some reason Rajeev felt that there was not enough salt in his food. Mom, did you add enough salt in this? Rest of his family looked at him strange. Yes, it seems fine to me. Why? Manoj asked.
For me, it's not. Did you even add enough salt? Is this how I'm supposed to eat after working the entire day?
Rajeev snapped at his mother.
1 second, Rajeev. Is this how you speak to your mother? The salt is fine. Apologize to your mother right now.
Rajeev glared at his father.
I said, there is no salt in my food.
That took the family aback. Rajeev's voice had changed. Let me rephrase. It wasn't changed. It sounded like someone else's voice was layered on top of his own.
Did you not hear what I said? Bring me salt.
Mita, be a dear and go fetch some salt from the kitchen, please.
Manoj asked his daughter-in-law. That was the time his family knew something was really wrong with Rajeev. This was one of the most explosive events that occurred in the family. And to be honest, the changes that these things bring are never explosive. They are subtle. Small things break, minor inconveniences. But as time passes, small losses quickly compound and you began losing even more money than before. Now back to Rajeev. His losses compounded in a week, so much so that his life started falling apart. At home, his mother quietly broke into her hidden savings to pay his daughter's school fees. Business goes up and down, she said. We've seen worse. He nodded, but inside he was burning. He felt incompetent. Slowly, things started to get heavier and heavier. The losses in his income, the dog he had raised since it was a puppy was now scared of him. That dog used to sprint to him. Every evening now stood at a distance and watched him come in. As soon as it spotted Rajeev, it started whining. At night, when the house was quiet, another thing started. He began to smell fresh, wet earth, not rain, something sharper. The smell of soil that had just been dug deep. It drifted through the bedroom for a few seconds and then disappeared. And everyone felt that smell, not just him. The smell was so strong that Mita decided to deep clean the house, but that smell lingered stubbornly. Somehow his family had convinced themselves that everything was fine. That worked until his mother fell sick. At first they thought it was like any fever. They took her to the local clinic. The doctor said seasonal infection and prescribed tablets and rest, but her fever rose and fell at odd times. She complained that at night it felt like something sat on her chest and watched her. When she spoke about it, she looked embarrassed, as if she knew how it sounded. But between you and I, that is the nature of these things. They target the most vulnerable, the elderly and the sick, just how predators target prey in the wild. One night, Rajeev sat beside her, holding her wrist and counting her breath. The rest of the house was quiet. He sat by her thinking about money, whether he could sell his bike to pay off some of the debts. That's when he heard it again. Dry crunching inside the house. Crunching of leaves. It was soft. It was behind him. He turned. There was nothing there. Just empty space. That's when he noticed the dog. It was hiding beneath the table besides the bed. Its body was laid flat to the floor. It made no sound, just its eyes looked scared, very scared, and it stared right behind Rajeev, at the empty space behind him. That was the first moment he admitted to himself that whatever he'd encountered in the forest might not have stayed there, although denial is a powerful thing. Next morning, the excuses were back. He blamed everything. Blamed the bad times, blamed the economy, blamed the weather. But when the doctors started to use phrases like weird pattern and this isn't normal, and his mother's condition got worse and worse, he decided it's time to find a solution. That day, he told his father and his friends everything. The shortcut, the circle, the feeling of being outside the world for a moment. They listened without interrupting. When he was done, his father stared and said, "You were always stubborn." Then he revealed something. The path they cut, it was for some project that the government cancelled halfway. Projects don't die for nothing, especially government projects. Some places don't like their ground being disturbed. I know a priest, Suresh suggested. They say he's an accomplished man. Maybe he could help. A drowning man needed a twig to stay afloat. And so they went to the priest. As soon as the priest heard the words "old line," he flat out refused to help. "This is not something in my capabilities. I'm sorry, I can't help you. But there is someone who can." The priest suggested they go to a tantric in a nearby village. A man who everyone mocked in jokes but quietly visited when things got too strange. The tantric's place wasn't dramatic. No skulls, no blood, no wall full of symbols. Just a small hut with shelves loaded with old paper, a brass lamp, and a man whose eyes looked like they'd seen things no one else had. He told the story again, feeling more foolish with every sentence. A perfect circle, no sound, feeling cut off from the world. Hold on, did you notice that? Feeling foolish. Soon as he had entered the tantric's place, semblances of sanity was returning. The tantric didn't laugh. He just asked, when you were standing in that circle, what scared you more? That something might come towards you, or that people you love might be too far away to reach you? Rajeev didn't have to think. The second, he replied. It felt like I'd gone somewhere they couldn't follow. The tantric nodded.
You stood in a place that is used to holding something else. While you were in that place, your position in the world became empty for a moment. Something tried to sit in it, found you. That something decided you were fit to sit with it. Now it's after you. It won't go back until it takes you along.
The tantric revealed one more thing.
Your mother? She's just a snack for it. You will be the feast.
So what can I do? What can we do? Is there no way out? Rajeev asked.
You were one before. You were told not to enter the ground. Now you have the goals to ask for a way out.
The tantric snapped. Rajeev got quiet. It felt like hope had just died for him. Is there really no way? There has to be one, right? Manoj spoke up.
There is, but we have to perform a ritual. There are some things I need for it. Make sure you have it before the next full moon. Any later, then it'll be too late.
The next full moon was 4 nights later. The tantric didn't promise to remove it. He said they could ask it to let go, make an offering, set a boundary. A negotiation, not a miracle. But the ritual had to be done near the forest, near where it started. Rajeev didn't want to go back, but he also knew he didn't want to watch his mother suffer more, sinking deeper into an illness no one could properly explain. They had prepared the ingredients. Rajeev had no idea what the tantric was using to do the ritual. He got glances of cloves, melted coins, vermilion, a cleaver, and a goat. Rajeev asked what the goat is for. The tantric said that the goat will take its place and that there was no other choice. At the edge of the forest, the trees looked like black walls. The tantric refused to walk down the old line path. He stopped right where the old line started, the crossroads. We call from here, he said. We don't go to its doorstep again. He drew a circle of ash and vermilion on the ground. You stand inside the circle. Whatever happens, whoever calls your name, you do not step out. Rajeev stepped in. The soil felt normal. His legs did not. It felt really heavy. Really, really heavy. The tantric began to chant in a slow, steady rhythm. Along with it, he was beating a drum. As the chant progressed, the forest sound thinned out and disappeared. No insects, no leaves, no distant engines. Just a chant, and then the crunch of dry leaves far ahead, then closer. The sound of footsteps approached from the direction of the old line. They stopped a short distance behind him. The air against the back of his neck turned cold. He stared straight ahead, muscles locked. Behind him, his mother's voice, weak, breathless, called him out.
Come here. Come here. I can't breathe. Help me.
His shoulders twitched, ready to turn. The tantric cut sharply through his own chant.
Don't look. If you look, we can't help you.
Then the voice behind him changed. Same words, same plea, but now it sounded like himself. Same rhythm, same gravel in his voice, same tone. Hearing his own voice behind him broke something in his mind, though he didn't turn. Not yet. Then it laughed once, was short and ugly. The ash circle beneath his feet felt warm, almost buzzing. The air felt charged. The tantric's chanting sped up and so did the drums. Then the goat was sacrificed. As soon as the goat died, he felt like an ocean was dropped on top of him. For a moment, it felt like a train was rushing past, invisible, enormous. If he took one step in the wrong direction, it would take him with it. Then without warning, the forest returned. Insects screamed again. A fox cried somewhere far off. The wind touched his face. The pressure behind his neck vanished. He heard the dry leaves shift as something retreated back into the darkness between the trees. He stayed frozen until the tantric put a hand on his shoulder and said, "Step out." It was over. Nothing exploded, the sky didn't open, there was no dramatic sign that anything had changed. But over the next few days, the pattern broke. His mother's fever finally dropped. She slept properly for the first time in weeks. When she called his name, it sounded like herself, from her bed, in their house. Not like something was borrowing her voice. In the shop, the small stupid accident stopped. Shelves stayed where they were supposed to. Business didn't suddenly boom, but the constant feeling of being pushed out of place faded. In the evenings, his daughters complained about her homework again. He still felt tired, but this time he didn't snap. The dog returned to normal, licking his hands, curling up at his feet, except for one corner in the living room that it still refused to go near. He never used the forest shortcut again. He went back to the long highways, the truck, the dust, the wasted time, and every time he passed the old line, the skin on his arms crawled. He knows now that some places stay empty on purpose, and if you stand where you were not supposed to stand, something else might decide to stand where you were. Rajeev is fine now. He's grown old. Trisha grew up as well, got married, has 2 kids of her own. Manoj and Sumitra passed away many years ago. But even after all these years, Rajeev still feels like something is watching him. This was today's story, but it teaches something valuable. Oftentimes we take shortcuts to save time and wealth. We cut corners and many of the times it works out just fine. However, sometimes in the process of managing things, we disturb something that should not have been touched and it decides that you are the rightful target of its annoyance. So be careful. When you take shortcuts, do not step where you are not supposed to. If you like the story, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps out YouTube to recognize that this video is something meaningful and deserves to be blown up. We will meet again in the next video. Till then, stay close to your families, stay healthy, and stay safe out there.